one of the most significant changes in Bollywood and in the state of life of normal people is maybe 5 years ago we'd have had 4 clean-shaven men sitting here. Now everyone has beards and it rocks, and you've got a leading man also with a beard. So I have to say, Harshvardhan, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, man.
A gentleman who's looking fitter and fitter, and I have to say, dude, you're very funky today, man. Amit, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And a guy who I think is a genius, and a lot of people do think that. I think one day he'll come to terms with the fact that he is a genius. Vikramaditya, thanks so much for joining us. I have to say this, so we'll start with you, the director of the ship. A lot of people love you, man, in the industry. Really? You got people singing praises all the time for you when you come up with these stark films that are not necessarily colourful films. Even this is not a colourful film. Are you like this dark, complex person inside?
Not at all.
Really?
Not at all. I think I don't know why I've made these films I've made, but I think I'm discovering myself and realizing that the next film's probably going to be a rom-com and I'm going to enjoy it the most, and that's it.
Okay, 1 second. Is he like this rom-com kind of person?
Not at all.
Not at all, huh? So he's just trying to run away from who he is.
I don't know who I am. Quite honestly,
No, but
I'm finding myself.
So the films, so if you go back to say the Udan versions of it, is there a lot of the, it just looks all too real and it's beautifully done. Obviously bring the performances out. But is there a lot of angst also?
I have a lot of angst. I think have a lot of angst. I don't know why it's there. My parents have also been kind of scratching their head saying why.
Yeah.
It was a very peaceful
Because they say कि हम पर बोल रहे होंगे trouble childhood था बच्चे का.
Trouble childhood कुछ नहीं है. My dad gets very worried. He's like, "Who's not about me?" I'm like, "No, dad, it wasn't about you." He got damn the first time I read the script and all. He's like, "What did I do? I didn't do anything." I'm like, "No, dad, it's not about you." I have angst. I think generally about stuff. I think Bhavesh also comes from a place of angst about just anger at the system, anger at certain sort of like things and experiences that actually happened, which sort of like bring it out. I do feel filmmakers have a certain kind of responsibility. Not that you have to make social films all the time, but this is one good excuse for me. That angst mixed with just a desire to go and make a very comic booky kind of film with great action and stuff like that. And I was like, let's put these two things together. Let's see what...
And it's also a different take to it also, because
totally, yeah.
That's the beauty of it. If you were mentioning filmmakers, is this the best time right now for filmmakers, do you feel, to be able to express themselves? Say after the 50s and the 60s, there the filmmakers were the kings. They were painting their own canvases. Do you think right now we're in that phase where we can do that?
I think today with knowing or being within the budget that you sort of like know you're making a film for, you can make Bhavesh for a certain audience with a certain budget. I have to make Trap with a very different kind of budget for a different kind of audience, right? Once you know your audience and once you know your budget, and if you're responsible enough within that budget, you can make anything you want today.
Wow.
Because it's not just like, even today, getting a film distributed in the movie theater is difficult. Like, we all know that. But there's other avenues.
Yeah.
There is the internet, there is straight to video, there is now Netflix and Amazon and a bunch of other players out there. So making content and getting it out there is become much easier, and if you make it in the right budget for the right kind of audience, you can make anything you want. And if you even look at India, look at the film like Newton or Lipstick Under My Burqa or Trapped or...
great content. It does have a
great content which actually is going out there and finding an audience, and it's wonderful. I think it's fantastic.
Does it scare you that you might get overexposed as a musician, because so many different platforms, the same thing over and over again? And it happened to say, Rahman to a certain extent, but every musician probably goes through that, because suddenly you become the flavor of the season and Amit Trivedi has this big reputation, and then suddenly people start saying, okay, I'm hearing so much more of him. Not necessarily because of releases, but because of the number of mediums.
That's true.
So do you have to think a lot more of the kind of music you want to put out there?
No, I don't think like that. I work for the films, so I only think about the film that I have in hand, and I have to do justice to that. I've always been.
But will you space out?
Enough number of times.
Will you space out work then accordingly now?
I'm actually enjoying this phase right now, where I have lots of films this year. This is, I think, by far the most busiest year that I have in my entire...
As far as releases are concerned, you'll have lots of releases this year.
This is my 4th release this year, and I have 6 more to go.
Wow, that's insane.
Wow.
So it's too much.
So next year you have a lot of speeches to give. Because you'll get a lot of awards, bro.
You're the Rajkumar of 2018.
He's almost as busy as Kunal.
Almost as busy.
But is Kunal?
Us are mixed.
Yeah. It's going to be a different year for you as well also. You're in this space where, a lot of people chose to have an opinion about you. They chose to judge you. They had fantastic opinions first when they saw Mirzia, then they'll come out after that. And like I said, we've had this discussion before. All star, family, children, people will always go through this. Do you also come with a certain angst sometimes and say, I've got to prove it. I have to prove it.
Not really. I think when you're on set trying to execute a scene, there's just already so much on your mind, you know, to just try and get it right. So you're not thinking about those things then. I think you think about those things when you don't have, when you're not working really, because then, you know, how they say, what's the saying, an idle mind is
Devil's
devil's workshop.
yeah.
So that's what happens, you know, because I've chosen to do these kinds of movies, and these kinds of movies, they take a long time to kind of get made and all of that. So you do have gaps in the middle, you know, in terms of when you're prep or when you just like wait. So at that time, you know,
So do you shut out the world at that point in time? Are you one of those ones who will just shut it out and then be able to focus?
when I'm shooting?
No, when you're not. So in the times in between, I mean, will you just shut out opinion, people that if they bother you?
It's difficult, yeah.
Yeah?
It's tough, to be very honest. Very tough. Because, see, the thing is, at the end of the day, if you put it into a larger context, I've done one movie.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it's crazy. Yeah.
No, but I think they just expected, you know, I'll tell you something. The problem was that the first look, I remember when it came out, was so spectacular.
Overwhelming, yeah.
They expected the world and sundry from it.
Yeah.
So I think that they came very harshly down on you specifically. I
don't think they did really. I think people were quite good to me actually. They were a lot of them were very harsh on the film. But then again, it's difficult because there's a lot of people that also do like that film. So I can't, you know, come here on this interview and say that, you know, the general opinion is the correct one. Because, you know, that film does have a small cult following, I think.
No, of course it is. I love the way it was shot.
Yeah,
beautiful.
there were really a lot of beautiful elements about it. The soundtrack, the way it was shot, a lot of things that we also did in the film. It just didn't completely collectively come together. And with the Mehra film, I mean, after Rang De Basanti, Dilli Che and Bhag Milka Bhag in a row, you expect things to just flawlessly kind of come together. But I think when your ambition sometimes is so large, it becomes harder. You know, but at least we tried. So I'm not going to be one of those people that complains and then says, I didn't try.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the worst kind of person to be, you know, so at least...
But then coming to like the point of choosing the second film, I think that becomes a real big decision for someone.
Yeah, I chose this before Mirza released. I wanted this to be my first film actually. So I wanted to debut with this film. I think that this film is a lot more palatable for a wider Indian audience. I think it's a quintessential Hindi film. I think the themes are much more easy to kind of relate to. That's about, you know, illogical and abstract love and how the lover and the loved one keep changing roles. This is a film about doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, clearly just there you can see that on a very basic human level, it's just easier to kind of sink your teeth into, you know. And like we keep saying, this has got great songs, it's got action, it's got drama, it's got comedy, it's got youth, rebellion, things that our audiences love, you know. So I'm feeling really confident about that people are going to like the film. I think that Vikram has made a really good, well-rounded film, and Amit's phone is ringing.
Is Amit a tough person to work with, Vikram?
Amit's the easiest person to work with.
Yeah?
The easiest. Amit and Amitabh Bhattacharya are the easiest people I've had to work with in my life. I'm actually, I mean, truly, I'm pretty demanding on my crew, and my actors will tell you that, my DOP will tell you that. I'm very, very demanding on a lot of stuff. Amit, at some point in time, it's always been, I don't think, it's very rare that I've come back and saying, I don't like this song, or I don't like this piece of music. And if anything else is like, okay, let's try and do this or do that to it. So,
do you have a good ear for music?
I have a decent
Yeah?
music. Yeah.
For his films, whether it's Udaan or Lutera and now Bhavesh, whether it's background score or songs, he will have specific reference in mind.
Wow.
And which is with nobody I have.
Because Lutera's music was beautiful, very old school.
Yeah.
Very, very nice.
But
So-
that's all them. It's all him and Amitabh. Quite honestly, just like I like this sound. There's a sound I like, which I kind of like make them listen to. Like I make a playlist normally before I do a film. There's a playlist that I'm listening to, which is like either while I'm writing it or while I'm on location scouts. Like, oh, this is what I feel the zone should be in, and then I get Amit down and make him listen to all that sort of stuff.
And
So he
that's
listens
really
to it,
inspiring,
Yeah,
actually.
throws it away, but. Lutera especially. I
Did you
just
hear what he
feel
said?
like-
What?
He throws it away.
I mean, he listens to it and he throws it away.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
But I get the gist. I get what he's trying to convey or what kind of zone he wants to get in. I get that, and that's how I throw away and do my own come from a different path.
And you also have this incredible Sehwag and Sachin partnership, man. It's incredible. You know, I mean, how many hits, by the way, between the two of you? Have we crossed 200?
No,
100?
I actually haven't counted yet.
Yeah, but it's amazing. It's not just about people. Amitabh and you, I mean, and you would never believe, A, that he's a writer of films. You would never believe, B, that you are a musician. You know, तुम दोनों को मिलके ऐसे लगता ही नहीं है like, oh, from the film industry. It's an amazing partnership which is just like continued and still churning out.
Yeah, still.
But he also took a break in between. He was also working like you 70,000 films at one time.
Yeah,
And then he just stopped working. He just said, I just want a break. So how does that click between the two of you? I mean, is it just like the yin and yang?
Maybe that you can say that. But me and Amitabh, we go really long way. In the sense, we debuted in Amir 2008. But we know each other since 2000, 2001. And we've worked a lot on advertising and we've done an album together. So there is a strong bond, there's a strong friendship between us. So it comes from there because we know each other so well. Now that is, so what do you, the right word, camaraderie? It's like very strong since then. So maybe it's just reflecting right now in the way we are working.
No, it's been reflected over many years right now. Both of them won so many awards. Before I go into a break, I will ask you, did you also, when you signed this, is this also a film where, you felt a little bit sad that it wasn't, say, maybe taking off at one point in time, and then when it did take off, you suddenly said, okay, now the stakes have really risen for this film, for me,
Yeah, when we went into the first schedule, I was in a probably the best place in my life because we had just finished shooting Mirzya.
Yeah.
And I was really happy with the film.
Yeah.
And then I got to do this film before Mirzya released, so it was just great.
Yeah.
And then the second phase of this film was after Mirzya release, so then I went into the second schedule in a completely different state of mind in a way, But it was still good because I still, this is the film that I really always wanted to do, so I think there's a sense of destiny about it. I think he's also kind of glad in a way that he didn't make the earlier film and he ended up making this film because he believes that this is a better film. So I truly believe whatever happens, happens for the best.
Well, destiny always. It is always preordained. There's no question about that. When I saw the trailer the first time, I said, wow. It was fantastic, the trailer. Yeah. Were you shocked with the reaction that people... Did you expect the reactions to be so, varied and good?
Well, I hope there would be. We worked really hard on getting that trailer out.
Yeah. Because that's the main passport of a film now, along with the music, the first track and the trailer. Sometimes the trailer goes puss, and a lot of it can go wrong.
You can't come back from that.
It's very, very difficult. So, just the concept of being able to make the good trailer. You made really good trailers for all your films.
I've had good support systems, on that.
But is there a click that you can do it, or do you show it to a lot of people, and that's the reason why you...
No, trailers. In fact, there's every film that I've done, I remember the Lutera trailer was in the making for 6 months, the Trap trailer, we had been out was 2-3 months. Because it's so important to get that first look right, and then you got to show it to enough people, show it to your own... Literally, that's one of the things when, with the film, it's okay. People say, I'm not happy with it, and it's okay, it's fine. But with the trailer, you can't. One person says, I think that, and you're like, what did you say, what line, what moment, what didn't work for you? You start to get really paranoid about the trailers.
And plus, you don't want to reveal too much also in the trailer.
Exactly.
Because most trailers nowadays show the whole film.
Exactly.
So you don't have to watch the film.
They basically intrigue people to say, I want to see more and I want to buy a ticket and come and sort of do it. But you have to get the right amount of, it has to be the right, it can't be too long a trailer. Trailer बहुत boring था. It can't be too short के I didn't get it. You have to have enough of the money shots. You have to have enough of the intrigue. It's an art form.
It's a very, very tough balance. Yeah.
But there's some money shots in this one as well. I like the fact that you get a chance to do a lot of things. It's not over the top action. It must be very normal for you coming from Mirzya.
Yeah, that was very elaborate. Yeah. That was tough.
Do you scale down thoughts also? You say, okay, I've got to make this look more real there. Then I've got to do everything in...
I was doing everything in normal speed. They just, so the story with that is, we were supposed to rent a Phantom camera, which is the camera that shoots at an extremely slow frame rate, for 2 days. Yeah. And then Mehra sir said, why don't we just take it for the whole 45 days?
I love that, man.
And the rest is history.
You're a Phantom for all 45 days?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Would you love to
I
get
couldn't afford a Phantom on this film.
So I'm going to ask you. I asked this to one of my filmmaker
20
friends.
days of filming or whatever.
Look, he said, look, if I can make an 8 or 10 crore good film, if you give me 100, I won't know how to make a good film with that. Are you that kind of filmmaker? If somebody give you a lot of money to make...
No, I'll go
I'll go
epic. I'll make bomb blast and all building.
Would you have wanted Bhavesh Joshi superhero to get a really grand scale, suppose? Would that have changed things for you?
No, it would have changed. I don't think it would change for the better. I do think Bhavesh is a I keep calling it a cottage industry superhero, right? It's a guy who's literally he's not Bruce Wayne. He doesn't have a fund who's kind of giving him millions of dollars every year. Yeah. He has nothing. He has a car that he sells to kind of fund himself, right? That's where his money comes from. So his mask is homemade, his costume is homemade, his stick is homemade, his fighting is
like your Desi Spider-Man.
Exactly. Yeah. He's cottage industry. He's literally sort of come from built the stuff out of nothing. So I feel that too much money honestly would have I wouldn't on a film like this I wouldn't know what to do. I would have just said, okay, let's just
Party.
have more action. Let's just blow up some more cars or that kind of stuff. Yeah. No, but yeah, but give me money and I'll happily go and do a film which is like epic.
Rom-com, sir, rom-com.
Rom-com.
You've just said rom-coms, you're not getting money for
I'm not
that.
getting money. I'll get money for that, yeah.
You'll-
I'll shoot a rom-com in Iceland or something.
So now when the film is done, I mean, you have a good feeling obviously when you're doing the film. Was this a tough film for you to shoot?
Very tough.
Physically or mentally?
Both. Means physically, mentally, emotionally. A lot of things, because it's a physically demanding film, it's an emotionally very demanding film. The character goes through a massive transformation. I mean, I have four or five different looks in the film. There's the whole vigilante bit. We shot over a period of almost 80 days, split over the period of a year.
Wow.
And again, even
You got to maintain the same
Yeah.
frame of mind when you come back on set.
I mean, we would shoot November, December, break until the end of March, and then I would come back like resuming something that we've done in December.
Wow.
You know, we went through some really hard times to make this film, and I went through some really hard times to make my first film, you know. So sometimes I sit and wonder, yeah, you know, I only signed up for this, so I deserve this, you know.
Yeah, you need to do like the sweet rom-com that he's making, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he also keeps telling me, you know, I said, you know, now I've been working for not too long, only about 5 years, 4 or 5 years, but this is about to be my second release. So he says, I said, I want to increase my output. So he says, then you have to change the kinds of movies that
Yeah,
you do.
that's true.
You know, so.
No, maybe if this film does really well, dude, everything's suddenly
Not even
switches.
really well, you know, I think in this industry, I mean, you know better than anybody else, in a good year, 15 films
Yeah.
probably make money. In a bad year, maybe 10 or 11. And because it's mostly, those 15 films are also mostly from established stars.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you have some sort of a newcomer that does even a reasonably successful film, everybody then wants to back
No, like
them.
example, Lipstick Under My Burqa was that example, you know, that suddenly happened and
Yeah.
suddenly people started believing
Yeah.
that they could do that. And I'm really happy with 2018. When the good
I mean,
year happens for everyone, everybody gets work, boss. You know, so you never be happy when a film is a flop. You know, all these silly writers want to write films out. Dude, every time you write a film off, you're cutting out work for yourself also.
Yeah.
Please understand this. But how tough is he to work with? He keeps saying he's like a bit of a tough.
Yeah,
Cookie?
very tough. Just very demanding. Yeah, you can't. I see. I've only worked with 2 directors, yeah, so I don't really know.
No, but as people also, generally, have you always heard? Had you heard stuff about him that you know, you better mend your ways or be okay or be normal?
No, not really. See, I think there's a lot of things, right? For Mirzia, one, we didn't really have financial restrictions, so that we could shoot 1 scene a day, take a lot of time. Here, we're making what essentially should be a double budget film in half that budget, right? So that's immediately going to put a lot of pressure on the crew, which is going to have a knock-on effect. Your DOP is going to have less time to light, you're going to have less time to block, so you're shooting in a difficult environment.
Like, almost like Gorilla.
Yeah, in a way. A producer keeps telling him you've made the most elaborate indie film of all time. But yeah, so it was tough.
Was he obedient?
No, he's very obedient. He listens. He has a tendency to just sometimes just like struggle against. I think he's learning across his way. Like I remember a couple of scenes where he just didn't. Like when we wrote the scene, he kept fighting about like, but why am I? Why? We shot the scene later on, and then he made a story. He's like, you know what? I made a mistake. I should listen to you guys. But that's okay. That's a process.
He's got trust
yeah.
issues sometimes.
Yeah. He has trust issues.
I also feel like I imagine things in a certain way, and then when it's not in that way, I don't know, but I'm getting used to
Yeah,
it.
so some very important producers once said, an actor's job is to act,
Yeah.
a director's job is to think, and direct the actor how to act.
But I've done everything that he wanted. Yeah. Whatever he said.
Yes or no? We're in the zone that is close by. Amit, are you ever able to say that this song is it when you're doing 10 films at the same time? How do you know that every one of the 40 songs that you made, every time is it, this song is it, this song is it, this song is it? How does that work for you? This is not 1, 2 films in 5 years or 4 films in 10 years. This is 20 films in a year. This is 10 releases, but you're working on 20.
See, for me, you know, I love everything that I don't know. I might sound a little, I don't know, whatever you call it, but I love everything that I make.
Okay.
And I'm proud of it.
Narcissistic.
No, but see, eh?
I'm proud of what I make, but then,
But how do you ever choose that a song can be bad?
but that's what I'm saying. When I enjoying it, I'm loving it, and when I present it to a lot of people out there, and then 10 opinions come, and I get confused. Oh, what I was thinking is that's not the way it is. It looks like. So then I have to then see out of a 10, if I love it, and out of 10, if 8 say, if not, give a nod.
The majority wins.
Majority means go for it.
Did that happen on this film?
Actually, no. Actually, yeah, it's only
Listen,
Vikram.
he's going on a coin toss pretty much then, yeah? Majority wins.
No, but everybody does that. You do that as
Yeah.
well. It's like same thing. If I'm showing my film to people,
Yeah.
right? And if like if one or two people say, yeah, that one scene, two scenes, and everybody else says no, it doesn't matter, then you just let it go. But if it's going to be split where half people are saying great, half people are saying no, you have a problem.
Yeah, that's what.
You know what I mean? That's when you have a problem. If I can say about Amit, one thing about him which I've realized over the years is that Amit works with a lot of love. Right? There's no.
He's got very pure music.
He's very pure music.
Yeah.
So he works with a lot of love and a lot of like honesty, right? And that comes through in his music. So I've never heard Amit make a bad song in my life. It might not be my taste.
I agree.
But I've never heard him compose a bad song because there's a lot of honesty in his work, and that's a very rare thing, and it's something that I think everybody should sort of. But musicians do that more. It's like with guys like Amit and Pritam and Rahman and.
No, but it's true. Every time I go into a music studio, I hear. I say, "Ye to bada अच्छा." I never realize if it's a bad song or a good song. मुझे तो सारे गाने अच्छे लगते हैं actually. To be very honest, whenever they say you should come for a production house, say you should come for a song listen. I said, I won't be able to know what is good or bad. I just like listen to all the music. So, I think you need to stop judging. I think that's just got to stop. I think it eventually
got a different taste.
Absolutely.
So what I am tripping on is not necessarily you are also tripping on the same.
And you could be tripping on something on a Monday and not tripping on it on a Saturday.
Exactly.
It's fine. So it's a different state of mind.
State of mind also.
Thanks so much for joining us. I really do hope this works, man. Thank you so much. Because it's got all the right ingredients, as you've seen. It's got all the right mindsets in there. And well, anyway, if you don't like some of what Amit's done, he's got 6 more to go this year, so it's fine, man. Yeah, and give a lot of money to Vikramaditya. That's the one take back that we take from this.
Sorry, I forgot the 7. Sorry, 7.
7. He wants to make Bahubali, and so if you had to choose a superhero international film, which one would you have chosen? Don't say Batman.
I'd love to make the next Batman. Give me the next Batman, happily make it. As it is, Batman needs a new director, needs a new voice right now. I think I'm the guy for it.
If you had to choose a superhero that you choose, your favorite of all time?
Would be Batman as well.
Batman again. We like dark, man. You say Batman for me as well. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.